Hello guys, welcome to today's tutorial. In this tutorial, you are going to be learning about snaps in CorelDraw. If you go under view right here, you can see we have snap to, document grid, baseline grid, guidelines, objects, and page. And in this tutorial, I'm going to be covering grid, guideline, alignment, dynamic guideline, snap to, and snap off. So if you don't know what these two do in CorelDraw, I will implore you that you watch this tutorial to the end. So once again, we are going to be talking about grid, which is document grid, baseline grid, guideline, alignment guideline, dynamic guideline, snap to document grid, baseline grid, guidelines, objects, page. Then we are going to talk about snap off and snap on. So in this tutorial, I will be using this tool to create what you are seeing on my screen right now. So you may not be creating exactly this, but of course, I will be explaining the tools to you and what they do. Okay, so if you are visiting my channel for the first time, this is ID Tech, and if you want to see other tutorials that I've created in this channel, you can click on the title of the channel or click on my picture right here. Then it will land you on this page, which is the home page of my channel, where you can see all other videos that I've created in this channel. And if you want to see my playlist, you can click on playlist right here. If you want to see only videos, you can click on video. If you want to see shorts that I've created, you can click on shorts. And if you want to see playlists that I've created also, you can click on playlist. So you can see playlists that I've created. I've created CorelDraw tutorial for absolute beginners, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word tutorial, CorelDraw, that is general knowledge about CorelDraw, reviews, tech, make money, YouTube, Microsoft Word full tutorial. So you can take your time to check out these videos from my channel. All right, without wasting time at all, let's delve into the tutorial. Now I'm using Corel 2021, and if you have been using CorelDraw, if you are not new to CorelDraw, if you have used lower versions of CorelDraw like X7, you will know that if you want to work like this, you need to create layers in your workspace like this. So let me just choose paper size here. Let me just choose A4. Let us work with A4. Now, if I want to work on this space, because this is where we have to design, okay, this is our workspace. Now, if I want to work here, first thing I have to do is to create a layer. Now, in the lower versions of CorelDraw like Corel X7, to create a layer in your workspace, what you just have to do is just to double click on your rectangle tool. Immediately you double click on your rectangle tool, then it will create a rectangular layer on your workspace that will fill up your workspace. Then in this rectangular layer, that is where you do all your design. But the case is not same when you are using Corel 2021. And when you are using Corel 2021, what you have to do is to draw the rectangle by yourself. So now let's check the dimension of our workspace. Now the dimension of our workspace is 210 millimeter by 297 millimeter, as you can see right here. You can see the page dimension. This is the dimension of the page. Now if you are creating a layer in this page, it's supposed to assume the same dimension that we are having for our workspace. What I mean is this: if I'm drawing a rectangle right here, had it been it is a lower version, now I will just double click, then it will fill up the workspace. But now that is not allowed in Corel 2021. So what I have to do now is to draw the rectangle by myself from this top corner now to the corner here, so that it will just fill up the entire workspace. Now I have done this. How am I sure that this rectangle is actually fitting into the workspace? How am I sure that the dimension of the workspace, the height and the breadth of the workspace is same as this rectangle that I have done? Now let's just check it. For the workspace, we have 210 by 297 millimeter. Now let's click on this rectangle to check if it is accurate. Now you can see that we have 210.245 by 295.386 against 210 by 297. So to get it accurately, when we want to draw this rectangle, it's somehow difficult. So if you want to do that, we need to be able to, let me zoom to this angle right here. We need to be able to locate this angle. So I'm going to be talking about snap to page first. Okay, so we need to locate this angle. And to locate this angle, now let me draw this rectangle again. So when I click on this rectangle and I'm trying to locate this angle, you can see there's no sign that is coming up to tell me that this is the angle. For us to have a sign that will tell us that we are in that angle, that will show us a dot there, we call that dot a node. We need to go to our view menu. Then under view menu, we need to click on snap to. Under this snap to, we have 5 options. We have the document grid, baseline grid, guidelines, object, and page. So I'm going to click on page, which simply means I want to snap to page. Now with my rectangle tool selected, I can come to my page. Now if I move to the corner, you can see something is coming up that is giving me a sign that I am at a node. I am at the corner, I'm at a node. Now if I move along this line, you can see it will also come up that I'm on a edge, which was not happening before. Now if I come to this angle now, I can see node coming up. So let me fit to page. Okay, so if I move to this corner, you can see node coming up. If I click and drag to this corner, you can see node also coming up to show that I am already at the corner of that page. Now let us try and check again if this rectangle, which is the layer that we have created, you can see this is the rectangle right here. Now if I press P on my keyboard, it will come back to my workspace. Now this is the rectangle right here. Let's check if this rectangle is of the same dimension to our page, okay, which is our workspace. Now let's check our page. We have 210 millimeter by 297 millimeter. Then if I click on this rectangle, let's check, you can see we have 210 by 297 millimeter, which is the same as the dimension of the page. So we have successfully created a layer on our page, and we have done that with the help of snap to page. So let me just quickly take a recap. When you go to view menu and you come to snap to, you can see that page is checked, meaning we can snap to page. So if I uncheck it, those dots that are coming up to show that I'm at a point will no more be showing on my page. Now let's move to snap to object. We have snap to object here. Let me tell you what that does. If I'm having 2 objects, I'm having a rectangle right here and I'm having a circle. Now what if I want this circle to be at the center of this rectangle? So you can see this dot right here. Let me zoom in. Now you can see this circle here. You can see this dot at the center is showing us that it is at the center. Now you can see also this rectangle is showing us that we are at the center. Now if I want to make this center to be at this rectangle center, you can see it is difficult to locate it. It is difficult to locate it. If I want it to be at the edge, it can be, but if I want it to be at the center, it is difficult to locate. Okay, so what I need to do is that I should click on snap to object. Okay, so you can see object here. So I'm going to click on object. Now if I click, then I can move and look for the center right here also. You can see the center coming up to show me that it is at the center. Okay, so I can release it and I can be sure that this particular circle is at the center of that rectangle. Now if I want to, let me duplicate this circle. So if I'm duplicating it right here, if I want to move it, I can say, okay, let me move it and snap it to the edge. So you can see the node comes up. The idea behind this is that you can snap object to an object. Now, if I'm clicking on this object, let me separate it again. Okay, I'm copying here. So if I'm clicking on this object, you can see nodes around this object. I mean these dots around this object. So you can decide to snap dots to another object dot. So if I click, let me separate this. If I click on this rectangle now, you can see the dots around it, and you can see another dot in the middle. Those dots are called nodes. So you can use node to snap to node. Let me draw another rectangle. Let me draw another rectangle right here. I'm having another rectangle. I can pick this node. You can see when my mouse gets there, the node comes up. Okay, so if I click, I can decide to snap it to this node right here. So when it gets to this node, that node comes up to be sure that it is edge to edge and it is perfectly okay. So that is the function of snap to object. So it is the same snap to object that I've used to create what you are seeing right here. So what I simply did here was that I created a square. You can see it right here. So what I did was that I duplicated this square. All right, so I'm copying it right here. Now I cannot really be sure the alignment of this particular rectangle. So what I will have to do is to snap the edge of the first object to the edge of the second object. So what I have to do right here is to pick this node right here and snap it to the next object node. So you can see whenever it gets there, it shows up. So let me move it to the node. You can see it shows up. So I can pick this node again and snap it here. I can control R. Control R means repeat the last action. And also I can select all and pick this node right here. When I right click on it and bring it down here, you can see the node right there comes up. Then I can release it and copy here. Then you can decide to give it a different color of your choice. What we are just trying to explain here is the function of that snap to object. Okay, and I've also used snap to object to create this one right here. So let me delete the object here. So if I'm creating a square here, I can come to this node right here, right click on it, drag it. You can see that node comes up. So I can release it, copy here, then I can redo. That is Control R to redo the last action. Then what I did again was to move this edge, okay, this node to this node. Okay, so you can see to this node, then I release and copy here. So to do that is just for you to move to the node, right click on it, drag it to another node, release it and click on copy here. So I can Control R right here to redo my last action. So you can see it is forming a different shape already. Then I can pick this node again, drop it at this node, copy here, do the same thing, move here, copy here, then I Control R to redo. Then I can pick this center. I'll be picking edges since now I want to pick this center and snap to this center here. You can see that node comes up. Then I can release and drop it. Then I do the same thing, drop it right here. Then I can Control R to redo my last action. You can use this to form any shape of your choice. Okay, that is that about snap to object. So let's go back to the view. We have snap to guideline, we have snap to baseline grid, we have snap to document grid. So let's take care of our guideline here. What are these guidelines? Okay, so you can see, for instance, if I click on this rectangle shape on our page, of course, the dot in the middle shows the center. So if I move my pointer there, you will see center. If I click outside, those nodes will disappear. So what if I want to locate this center? Then I can come up right here on my ruler. when you get to the ruler, you can see this pointer right here. When it moves up, it becomes white. Then when you click, you can drag down your ruler to the center, to where that node is, and release it. So that shows you are at the center of that page. You can use your vertical ruler also. So let me click on the rectangle again. Then to the left hand side, I will drag out this guideline. You can see when it gets to the center, it shows that it is at the center. Then I can release it. Okay, so I have my guideline for me to work with. Now let's assume that I'm drawing a rectangle like this, and I want it to rest on this guideline. It will be somehow hard to do that. Even if I'm picking this node, it is somehow hard to do. So what I have to do is to turn on my snap to guideline. Okay, so I'll go to view and click on snap to and check these guidelines. Okay, so if I'm moving this object right here, you can see it will snap to that guideline. Okay, let me release it and let me zoom in. All right, so if I move this object now, I'm moving it. Once it touches that guideline, you can see it will snap to that guideline. Then I can be sure that that rectangle is not going beyond the center of my page. So you can use your guideline anywhere. So for instance, I'm putting this guideline here and I want to snap this object to that guideline. It's just for me to move it downward. You can see it is moving, and once it gets to that guideline, it snaps to it. So it makes your design to be easy, because sometimes you just need to take measurements on your page. So in this video, we have covered snap to page, snap to object, and snap to guideline. Now let us go back to view and let us work on this baseline grid. But before we check this baseline grid, we need to activate the baseline. So we come to grid and we check this baseline grid. Okay, so you can see this baseline grid is just like an exercise book that is ruled. So in case you need something like this and you want to snap your object to the baseline grid, you can put on your baseline grid and snap your object to it. Now this is our baseline grid that is ruled across our page. If I want to snap this object to it, it may be difficult. For instance, I want to target a line and I want to snap this object to the line. So let me just pick the object. Let me pick this object right here and try to snap it. You can see it is not indicating that I am on a line. So I will be guessing. If I'm trying to put it on a line, I cannot be sure that it is actually on that line. You can see as it is moving, but it is not indicating that I'm on a line. So to indicate that I'm on a line, what I have to do is to go under view menu and come to snap to. Don't forget that we have already activated our baseline grid, and that is why we are having this stripe on our page. So we come to snap to and click on baseline grid. So we are snapping to baseline grid now. So if I'm clicking on this node and move, you can see as it is moving, you can see grid coming up, meaning that node is touching the line. So immediately it is touching the line, there will be an indicator to show that it is touching the line. And this is useful for you if you are working on any document that you need to take measurements in your design. Okay, that is snap to baseline grid. Now let's treat snap to document grid. But let us deactivate baseline grid and let us deactivate this grid right here, baseline grid, so that those stripes will leave our page. So let's go back to our view. Before we activate snap to document grid, we need to activate our document grid here. Okay, so under grid, we will see document grid. So you click on it, then you can see the grid filling your entire screen. Now let me zoom in. If I have to snap this object to any of these boxes, of course it's going to be hard. Okay, so let me pick this node and try to snap, you can see no indicator is coming up to show that I'm at an intersection of any of this line. So we can now go back to our view and come under snap tool and click on document grid. Now if I'm coming to this node, if I pick this object, at every intersection I get to, you can see the grid will come up. So far so good. We have covered the snaps, the document grid, the baseline grid, the guideline grid, objects, and snap to page. Now we have two more things to cover here. We have the alignment guides and dynamic guides. Now I'm going to uncheck this document grid. I want to remove them. The document grid, under grid, the document grid should leave there. Then snap to also the guideline. I want to remove all of them so that we can do other things. Okay, right now if I'm having two objects here, now if I'm picking this node right here, you can see if I'm trying to snap it, it's not going to snap because I've turned off that snap to object. But alternatively, we can turn on our alignment guide. Okay, so you can see this alignment guide now. If I'm picking this node and try to snap, my alignment guide can also help me. You see it is snapping because you can see this thin line that is somehow coming up in between. You can see this thin line, that is alignment guide, meaning the wall of this first object is already aligning with the wall of the second object. If I'm picking this object, if I move it up, you can see at the center, at the top and at the bottom, you can see those thin lines coming up to show to me that this object is aligning with the level of the first object. So that is the function of alignment guide. Now let's go to the dynamic guide. The dynamic guide now, I've turned it on. You can see the dynamic guide is turned on. Now let me pick this node here and try to snap it to this edge. You can see there's a diagonal line. You can see this thin diagonal line that is coming up. That is called a dynamic line in CorelDraw. So those tools are to help you to snap object to object, and they are for accuracy when you are trying to snap. And lastly, when you come under view and you click on snap off, then all the snaps will be off. So if I'm picking a node right here, you can see my dynamic line, my snap, whatever is gone. None of them is indicating anything again. And if I come under view, you can see they are off right here. They are grayed out. But if I click on snap off to turn it on, you can see that the snap to the dynamic guideline, the alignment guideline, they are now active. All right, if you are watching this tutorial to this moment, it simply means you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, share this video, and don't forget to watch other videos on my channel. I will see you in my next video.